We live in a very high-tech world nowadays, with computers, phones, and more. The technology for these things aren't stopping anytime soon either. Computers are becoming very smart and very fast with all these new products that are being found. Once you learn the basic about computers, they're actually kind of easy to understand, like the difference between processors, the different types of storage devices you can use in a computer, and in general the parts you use to build a computer. Once you get into the world of computers and understand the basics, they become a lot more easier to understand. There are two different brands of processors out there. You have AMD and Intel. Most people go with Intel because they are the better processor out of the two, but Intel is a lot more money than AMD. Intel has their low-end processors, which is called the Pentium, their medium-end processors, which is an i3 and i5, and then their high-end processors, which is an i7 and an i9. AMD is for people that are looking to build a computer but are doing it on a budget. AMD also has their low-end processors, which is just called AMD and has numbers after it. Their medium-end processors, which is called the Ryzen 3 and the Ryzen 5. I have a Ryzen 5. And then their high-end processors, which is a Ryzen 7 and the Threadripper. Their low-end processors are made for laptops where you can't really do much on them, but are good for searching the web. Then the medium ones are good for some things like gaming, but not programs that are too heavy on the processor. And the high-end ones are almost able to do anything that you need. When it comes to storage devices for a computer, you have two options. There are solid-state drives and a hard drive. The solid-state drive, or an SSD, is a storage device that is used to hold data and files for a long time. SSDs are faster for startup time and loading time of programs. The one downside to an SSD is that it doesn't have as much storage space as a hard drive. A hard drive is what most computers have nowadays, and they have a lot of storage in them, but they aren't as fast as an SSD. In my computer, I actually have both an SSD and a hard drive. I have yet to get the SSD set up into it, so it's just running straight off the hard drive right now. So I'm not getting the speed that I'd like for startup time and the program's loading, but I do have the storage capacity to hold multiple games and multiple files. There are 7 parts of a computer. You have the motherboard, you have the processor, you have the graphics card, the power supply, the memory, or the RAM. The memory and the RAM are the same thing. And then you have the storage, which is the SSD or the hard drive. Then finally you have the PC case, which holds all the parts together. A lot of people like to build their own computers because then they're able to customize it how they like. You see these fans up here, that's called RGB, which is the 3 colors of light, which means I'm able to go in there and change the colors of my fans. My parts that I have in here is I have a Ryzen 5 processor, a 1060 Ti graphics card, and then 8 gigs of RAM. Once you learn the basics about computers, they're actually kind of easy to understand, like the different types of processors and the different types of storage devices you can use in them. Computers in general are pretty easy to understand, and also the parts that you need once you learn about them. Computers, once you learn them, they're easy to know. You just have to take the time and them.